So welcome everybody. For those who may be wondering why we need this workshop, I would like to spend the initial 5 to 10 minutes discussing the importance of both these concepts, Swarasthanam and Swarangyanam. Basically, Swarasthanam is the exact note frequency in a given raga. So within a raga, the note could be plain or it could be given different types of gamakams depending on the grammar of that particular raga. So each raga in Carnatic music is much more than a scale. So it is almost like a form. Hence it becomes very, very important for us to understand what are the Swarasthanams of the different notes that are there in a given raga, because a raga system is very complex. Many ragas are not, cannot be defined only by Arohanam, Avarohanam. You will find that there are patterns that defy the Arohanam, Avarohanam. The second concept that we will be discussing today is Swarangyanam. Swarangyanam is basically when you hear a pattern, you should be able to over time decode it immediately into its underlying swaras. So all of us should start practicing. First step would be practicing the scales, the Arohanam, Avarohanam, without and then with Gamakam. Once you get comfortable, try all the basic varisais and alankarams in as many different Melakarta ragas as possible. And that is a great activity to make sure that you develop a strong Swarangyanam, which in turn will help you learn compositions well and attempt manodharma as well. In fact, in my observation and interaction with musicians from across the world, I find that they feel that the Swarangyanam development in Indian classical music is one of the most sophisticated, and it is almost like a universal language. Like a well-trained Carnatic vocalist or a Hindustani vocalist will be able to decode any music of any genre anywhere in the world into its underlying swaras. And when we do that, basically the music is no longer a barrier, it becomes a universal language. So just to give an example, if you hear something, and my Shruti is in G sharp, by the way. So if you have a Shruti box or app handy, you can keep it at the same Shruti. So if you hear a passing song, if you know what the swaram is, then it demystifies the whole experience to a great degree. For example, many times we go to a concert, right, and you hear the musician doing an alapana, and they seem to be singing super fast phrases like and you feel, oh, why am I not able to sing? This is a question I had for many years when I was a kid. You should start observing, and that is why fine-tuning the Swarangyanam becomes very, very important. And I will do one more trick here. So when you look at Raghunandan, you try to sing this. I'm going to sing sa, re to, ga to, ma. Okay, without the pa. Sa, re, ga, ma. Yeah, Raghunandan.
Sa, re, ga, ma.
Excellent. So now there is a raga Ranjani. Sa, re, ga, ma, da, sa. No panchamam. All along when we were giving gamakam for prati madhyamam in ragas like Kalyani, Pantuvarali, Simendra madhyamam, we were dragging that prati madhyamam from the pa. Ma, very standard approach in Carnatic music. Sa, re, ga, ma, because we want to remind ourselves that the prati madhyamam is close to panchamam. So our tendency, and that is how it should be sung in Carnatic music, is to give the prati madhyamam from the panchamam. However, here you are dealing with raga Ranjani, which has no prati madhyamam. Sa, re, ga, ma, da, sa. So that anchor of panchamam is gone. If you look at Hindustani music, many times they give the prati madhyamam very plain. Ma, 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 ga, ga, ma, ma, ma. In Carnatic music, almost never is it given plain, unless it's a raga like this, which doesn't even have the panchamam. I just would like to point out here the importance of understanding raga lakshanam or grammar of every raga. So even if two ragas have the same swaras, Sometimes there are other factors at play that decide whether you can oscillate or not oscillate. So to give an example, we can see number 63 Latangi and number 65 Mecha Kalyani or Kalyani have the same Sarigamapa. But in Kalyani, the Re is given a lot more oscillation when singing the raga. Sari ga ma ri ga ma pa pa ma ga ri sa ni ri. The same swaras are there in Latangi, except the Daivatam, all the swaras are same. In Latangi, many times we give the Re plain. Pa ma ga ri 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 ga ri ga ma ga ri. You can oscillate. Sari ga ma ga ri ga ma ga ri. Halting the Re in a plain way is quite typical in Latangi. It is not so typical in Kalyani. You can see it is a fairly complicated system of music. You have all these Swarasthanams, but there are so many other factors at play. And the next follow-up question is, how do I know that in Kalyani I have to oscillate the Re more than in Latangi? In our music, the answer is again through compositions. By studying compositions in both these ragas, over time we will understand that in Kalyani, most of the compositions have the Re given with the Gamakam. In Latangi, in many times in the compositions we give the Re plain. That is one way to understand. Second way is through listening to concerts. When you listen to an alapana of Latangi, in alapana or kalpana swaram, you will notice that musicians halt in the Re. Same Re in Kalyani. More often in Kalyani we hear the Gamakam. So the listening part becomes very, very, very important in our musical system. So this is the Melakartha chart. I've just downloaded it from the internet, and you can see that we have the 72 melas divided into 12 chakras. First 36 are all Shuddha Madhyama ragas, and the next 36 are the same but with Prati Madhyama. So Raga 1 and 37 will be the same except for the Madhyama, 2 and 38 and so on. And now I would like Amudan, you can tell me, look at the first 6 ragas. What do you see common between the first 6 ragas? What are the swaras that look the same to you?
Well, all the Ds are same as the Re1.
Correct.
All the girls are the same too.
Very good. How about the Ma?
And the Mas.
Yeah, and Pa there is no variation possible. Okay. So if you look at each chakram, you will find that all the 6 ragas in the chakram have the same Re Ga Ma. Sarigama Pa is going to be a common factor for all the 6. These type of exercises will also help. I am now going to move on to Madhyamavati. I am going to try the Jampatalam Alankaram in Madhyamavati. Okay. I would just like you to listen. Sari ma sari sari ma pa ri ma pa ri ma pa ni ma pa ni ma pa ni sa. To give an example, let me do Madhya Talam. Sari gari sari ga ma. I'm going to do it in Malaya Marutam, which is a Shadava raga, 6 notes. Sari ka pada ni sa. So it is like pada ni da pada ni sa da ni sa ni da ni sari ri sa ni sari sa ni da sari da ri sa ni da ba ni da pada ni da ba ga da pada ga ri ga ga ri sa. So what I try to do is first 2 patterns I sang in first speed, next 4 in second speed, last 4 in third speed, and I sang it in a Shadava ragam. So again you can see it sounds fairly simple, but executing it practically requires some amount of practice. But all of you can do it. With practice anybody can sing this. So these are all things you can slowly start working on. And like I said, initially do it with your guru's guidance, because then only you will be able to correct if your Swarasthanam is not perfect. But if you are able to spend even 10 minutes a day on average in such activities, you will find that when you start learning complex compositions or manodharma, you are able to do so and try alapanas, kalpana swarams, whatever manodharma aspects. And it's never too early to attempt manodharma. It doesn't mean you have to learn 500 kritis before you try your first alapana. Even somebody who knows 5 kritis can try an alapana, provided you have a fairly good understanding of swarasthanas based on activities like this. So try to keep all this as a work in progress. So with that, let's conclude the workshop. Thank you all for being so patient and enthusiastic. You were great participants. It was a real pleasure having you.